I'm going to make a presentation on an introspection of Indian policies in comparison to the development of China. This presentation will first focus on the challenges faced by Indian country, and of course the second part of the presentation is about comparing Indian economic development with China development, and third part is about the policies that are framed in India and the focus and the priorities given by the government. And finally, we will look into the present situation and the major impacts faced by the country. The core problems that are faced by the country are basically poverty, unemployment, and the population is the major problem, food crop shortage. These are all some of the issues, and many more issues are there. And we are in the cutting edge to face this problem. Basically, Indian leaders of the Free India project India as a country which is a superpower, and always they speak about creating enmity with Pakistan and China. They sustain their leadership by focusing upon the nearby countries, and they make us forget about our own countries and their problem. Basically, the policies of the government are affecting the country to a greater extent. And now let us look into a comparative analysis of Indian government with the China. While we compare the area of China with India, it has 3 times area of India. And while we look at the population, almost equally we have, and in 2025, India is going to supersede Chinese population, and we are going to become the most populous country. So the major challenge facing India is how we are going to feed this population, and what are the efforts that we have taken to control population. The birth rate of India is 20 per thousand, while Chinese birth rate is 12 per thousand. The next major issue is about our own economic development. When you compare Indian per capita income with that of China, we have just almost half of the Chinese per capita income. And you look at the gross national product per capita of China and India. China is growing at a much faster rate when compared to India. And when you look at people living below the poverty line, and especially the international indicator of 1.25% per day dollar, basically almost 1/3 of the Indian population is living below this particular indicator. While we consider the Human Development Index, which focus upon health, education, and about the standard of living, we are far behind China. We are in the 130th rank, while China is ahead of us by 40 ranks. And of course, while we consider the Gender Development Index, India is one among the 5 dangerous countries for women in the world. We have our 50% of the population is unsafe. And when we consider the gender index rank, gender inequality index, China is in 40th rank, while India is in 130th rank. And while we consider the proportion of seats held by the women in the parliament, we are far behind. We have just 11% of Indian women in the Indian parliament. And also we are very much aware of 1/3 of the parliamentarians are criminals. They have criminal cases against them. And when we compare the South Asian countries along with the Indian women empowerment, there also we are lagging much behind. We are in the 130th rank. And let us look into the peacefulness of our country. And while we compare, there is a terrorism index ranking. India ranks in the 5th position, and many of the terrorist incidences are happening in India. And while we consider the competition ranking, this competition index is deciding the attractiveness of the country towards by the business people of other countries for investment. And they say, World Economic Forum says, Indian competitive index is very low, mainly because of the corruption. And corruption is the main dangerous problem in India. And the Indian rank is in corruption is also becoming worse day by day. Last year we have reached 65th rank. Earlier we were not in this particular rank. Over the last 10 years, in the last year, our corruption index is going very high. And from the smallest job till the highest job, we are forced to give corruption. And every work is done by corruption. When you compare among the BRICS countries, there also our economic status is not that very high. We are the poorest among the BRICS countries also. I am just bringing about the data which will speak about the status of our country. In such a position, a country which is in a very difficult economic and social backwardness, the policies framed by our policy framers are not favorable to the country population. The majority of the population is suffering. Maximum poor people of the globe is living in India. In such a situation, if you look at this year budget, in 2016-17, look at that, 21% of the receipts are coming from borrowing. Are we in such a position? How we are going to repay the borrowing? 21% of the borrowing is, receipts are funded by borrowing. And the parliamentarians, while they are presenting the budget, they speak about that 13% of the non-development plan expenditure only. And the presentation by the finance minister focus only upon that. And for such a poor country, 10% of the total expenditure goes to defense expenditure. And in addition to this defense expenditure, under the non-plan expenditure, many of the nuclear projects are put under energy category, and non-development plan expenditure is also engrossed. While we look into the expenditure, almost 90% goes for interest payment. That out of the total expenses, 19% goes for the interest payment. And if we are paying 19% by way of interest payment for all the borrowing, how much amount can we pay for the development expenditure? And now let us look at the total external borrowing. Just look at it. China has double the time that of Indian borrowing. But look at the percentage of gross national income. We have just they have 9.5% of gross national income of external borrowing. But India has 23% of borrowing in its gross national income. So the borrowing is very heavy for India. In spite of this percentage of share of borrowing in the gross national income is a major indicator which decide the risk of the country. In spite of this, we are continuing to emulate the pattern of China. China started receiving more of short-term borrowing over the last 10 years, and India started emulating this pattern, and of late we have reached 21.68%. And China has got more of short-term borrowing, 71%. But China can afford to, because it has the full control of the country in its hand. It has a more communistic pattern of society. And when compared to that, Indian democratic pattern of society, with all these problems, we do not have full control over the financial sector of our country. In such a situation, how we are going to manage this short-term borrowing? And in addition to that, when we look into the Chinese growth, almost all the short-term borrowings are for the productive investment. And the borrowing of India is for defense purpose, while their borrowing is for productive purposes. And the export of the country is continuing to increase. And in spite of that, we are borrowing and we are making the country more a military India. If you look at the situation up to 2009, almost 7% of the global arms import was done by India, and after that, up till date, we have raised it up to 15%. The global arms import, 15% of the global arms import is done by India alone, and this is 3 times that of China. And can we afford to make a military expenditure of nearly $47 billion for defense? In spite of this, we continue to say that we have to give more importance and more expenditure for this. And in addition to this military expenditure, we are making the country also a nuclear India. In 1986, when Chernobyl power blasted, and after 1986, Russia has not started even a single reactor in its country, though it has lot of raw materials. In 1988, it made an agreement with India and for starting 2 nuclear reactors, and they made an agreement to sell 2 nuclear reactors. But Indian population, people were not interested. The whole country refused to accept this project. The project went from state to state. None of the state was ready to accept. Finally, it came to Kudankulam. And Tamil Nadu, initially when MGR was there, he refused to accept. Later, it was the Russian government bribed almost all the political parties and it forced the project after 25 years. Any technology will become outdated in a maximum of 5 years. But the technology which was signed before 25 years was implemented after 25 years. In December 2014, it came into operation. Until date, as all of us are aware of, every 1 month there is a failure and the project is not able to continue. Every time there is a leakage. If it is a water, it can be managed. But if it is a radiation leakage, how can we manage? But that is happening because we are all poor. Because majority of the population is poor, we are forced by all these means. In Tamil Nadu government forced Tamil Nadu people to accept this project by making power shutdown for nearly 2-3 months. And immediately after the project was accepted, power shutdown is not there. From where this current came and from where that current, why the current was not there. So many people died because during that period. Hospitals were forced to shut down because many of the hospital does not have emergency UPS. And so many people died during that current shutdown. Anyhow, this project is forced upon the country and especially upon the Kudankulam people in spite of their heavy cry for their own life. And after that, without this poor people knowledge, the 3rd and 4th project was also signed by the government. And whether now it was not at all a parliamentary discussion or a public discussion. December, Modi went to Russia and he signed for 16 nuclear reactors. 2 of them is for Kudankulam. And 5th and 6th nuclear reactor is going to come for Kudankulam. Because people are not capable of opposing the political leaders' ventures, we are forced to accept and we are forced to suffer because of this. And in addition to this expenditure, and from where this 100,000 crores comes, it is by borrowing. Russia get double the share. It makes investment plus it gives borrowing. It receives the interest also. So double the way it is benefited. And the third important way it is benefited is by its political dominance. This Kudankulam project, the scientific technology is unknown to Indians. The operation is done by Russian scientists and the switch is on by the Russian scientists. And in times of war, we are already slaves for Russians. Having a slight fear of Britishers, because once we were slaves for Britishers, we are just putting ourselves under the cover of Russia and we are importing maximum of defense products from Russia. And this is a stepping stone towards future slavery for Russia. And when we look at the Chinese intrusions, just preceding and succeeding every Chinese premier's visit to India. The history is given in the slide. You can look into it. Every time there was an intrusion in the borders and up to 13 kilometers, and there was a heavy intrusion. They will enter into and they threat to the Indian premiers and they get all the signatures. And that is why all the MOUs signed between India and China are always unfavorable to India and favorable to China. This can be seen from the data. Export to China is still the same, but import from China is going on increasing. Look at the trade balance graph. Import from China is very heavy and trade deficit with China is too heavy. And generally you make a comparison of export of India and China. China is remaining incomparable when compared to India. And now let us look into the next issue. The next issue is about the border problem, mainly the problem with Pakistan. We continue to generate a issue, the political leaders, for their survival. They continue to generate a tension always in the border, so that people look into it, get diverted towards that, and they does not bother about their own food or their own living. And every year we lose so many people towards this border protection. And they create some tension. Political leaders, they speak something, they go do something, and they create some tension. And finally, the border forces attack each other and they die. And how can we afford to lose our people life? We can spend money, we are spending so much of money. 10% of the country's budget is going for military. And just 0.5% is going for education. At least money, let it go. How can we afford to lose our people? We are losing. The leaders, all the Congress leaders were there in the country, ruling the country till date. And now the BJP is ruling. Everybody is equally the same. The leaders are not going to lose their life. But our argument, they are continuing to die. They are continuing to die in the snow, for which they are not responsible. And see, every day we find people being killed. And we have a map. We have a map of India. This map is not accepted by China and Pakistan. They continue to draw different lines. And you can see this in the map. Different maps are available. How are we going to manage this problem? And is there not any end? You have a beautiful India with us. But how are you going to manage the border issue? Are we going to continue to invest our human life for the sake of drawing a line of the border? Or we are going to make some prudent thinking over this issue to save our people and to save our money and to prioritize the priorities. Scotland and England had an election as where they will have to join and how they have to call. Different countries have their own elections to have even the flags. But how long we are going to fight with this Pakistan and China? What should we do? And we have to think differently. Otherwise, we will be losing all our money. What will happen to the future of the country, we are not aware of. Now a new policy is brought out by Modi. Make in India. Come, make in India. He goes around the world to different countries. Yes, growth is important. Foreign direct investment is important. Okay, where has gone the made in India? Originally, we were forced to, we were all very good in different skills. Now all our skills are gone. Our Indians are not promoted for any production. Earlier it was made in India, now it is make in India. We are just going around countries. Yes, come and invest. How they will invest? How they are ready to invest on borrowing. You borrow and who will repay it? Yes, your leaders will, our leaders will go away. Our future has to bear it. Our future have to repay it. And completely education and health is neglected. Our educational expenditure of this year budget is 0.5% of the GDP, and the total social sector expenditure was in 2013 it was 1.2% of GDP, and this year it is 0.5%. But the defense expenditure is 10%. How can we afford to do this? And another new policy, the Swachh Bharat, which was earlier Nirmal Bharat Abhiyan, now they have allotted 62,000 crores. And the next project, 100,000 crores bullet train with Japan. Yes, Japan is going to finance 90% of this particular project. Yes, financing means yes, borrowing. Who is going to pay the interest? For whose sake? This bullet train is going to reduce the time from 8 hours to 2 hours. Who is going to travel? All these poor people are going to travel by this bullet train, for whom this 100,000 crores of investment. Yes, 50,000 is going to be invested for smart cities, and cabinet has approved 500 crores for each city. So 100 cities are going to come. Who is going to live there? Are we all going to live there, or only the ministers who have fraudulently earned money? Yes, all these investments are leading to interest payment. Now it is 19% of the total budget is going for interest payment. What will happen in the future? How much percentage? And finally, all these disastrous policies has resulted in suicides. All the corruption of the political leaders and the disastrous policies has resulted in suicides. Lot of suicides. Farmers are neglected. Farmers are committing suicide. School children are completely neglected, they are committing suicide. Youth are completely neglected and they are committing suicide. And IAS officer, they are forced to make lot of criminal works and they don't know what to do. They commit suicide, and the suicides are going on increasing. It says that 15 people are committing suicide in India every hour. And Tamil Nadu and Maharashtra tops the scene of suicide, and farming related issues alone comes to 17.2%. And the next policy of Tamil Nadu government, we have the schemes of TASMAC to fund the schemes of AMMA, Amma, the so-called Amma scheme, assured maximum service to marginal people in all villages, which is in short for the publicity sake called Amma. And why do we use this Amma schemes, and from where the money comes is from TASMAC. And what is this TASMAC? TASMAC is funding this free schemes. And do you know that 1/5 of the world alcohol intake is done by Indians. Indians are taking so much, and we are giving more priority, and especially the Tamil Nadu government, we have lot of liquor outlets. When compared to higher secondary schools, we have more liquor outlets in Tamil Nadu, and it is highly dangerous. We have 24-hour phones and phone number services for liquor. TASMAC has 24-hour service, and a phone number complaint you can give at any time, but not for education or for health or for people food or for employment. Nothing we have. And where we are going and what is the passage in which we are moving around, we need to think about this. And who are the founding fathers, and who is the MGR started TASMAC, and earlier in 1937 we started the Prohibition Act. Alcohol Prohibition Act was initiated in 1937, but MGR introduced TASMAC, but it was not, the act was not amended. But the founding mother of alcohol is Jayalalitha. She amended the act in 2003 when she was the chief minister, and when she had alliance with the Indian National Congress, Moopanar, Patali Makkal Katchi Ramadas, Communist Party of India, Marxist, CPI, then Muslim League. All these people joined together and they made the alcohol a government product. And Karunanidhi of DMK in 2006, he continued the project for the sake of their own personal benefit. While they had alliance with Congress under the leadership of Gangabalu and Ramadas, CPIM and CPI. All these people are founding mother and fathers of alcoholic addiction in Tamil Nadu. And they are least bothered. People, they don't have food or job. That is not their botheration. Their botheration is their income, because many of the political leaders have their own distilleries, and for the sake of doing their own selling their own products, they use the TASMAC, and even the people are standing in queues even before the shop is open, and school children are drinking. School children, because they don't have proper school education, and they are drinking. Smallest kid, and this kid is also drinking under addiction. And now we have to think about what it's all something like where we are going. What is the path where we are going? Which are the priorities? The challenges are remaining unanswered. The challenges of poverty, the world, India has maximum poor people in the world. It is remaining unanswered. And India has maximum AIDS patients in the world. It is remaining unanswered. And India is going to become the most populous country in the world. It is remaining unanswered. And this population, especially in Tamil Nadu, is going on increasing, because everything is given free. From the conception till the funeral, everything free is given. And suppose if all the free are dropped out, and suppose if some other leader comes and if the free are dropped out, people does not know how to earn money, how to work. Most of the Tamilians have to commit suicide. This is the situation. If this is the situation, what will happen to the future? Most of the political leaders are uneducated. They are from cinema background. Many of them are from illegal backgrounds. Many of them are from corrupt backgrounds. Many of them have criminal backgrounds. In such a situation, we are forced to think about very good new leaders who are dedicated, like Kamaraj, like Annadurai, like Kakkan. We had political leaders. The police minister Kakkan, as soon as the day when he was relieved from ministry, he was in the bus stand for the town bus. And in many of the developed countries, the ministers doesn't have any special honors or special respects. They are like any other people. When we are going to enter into such a phase, we need to dream about. It is not a dream by somebody else. Otherwise it will be like two cats which are fighting for a particular cheese, and they went to this story is a popular story. Two cats fighting for a cheese, they fight with each other, and they went to a monkey, and they asked the monkey to help them sharing the cheese. And the monkey, what it did is, he took a balance scale and they cut into pieces and put in one balance scale, the bigger one. Then one is bigger, so it bite the bigger piece. Then it bite the second piece. Likewise, it exhausted everything. Now the people are on the road. Yes, the two cats didn't get anything. What should we do? The society is not going down because of these criminals, but because of the inactivities of good people. The Indian economy has a very good future. Only when all the inactive good people start their own actions towards their country's dedication. Everyone needs to have nationalistic feeling towards their country's economic development. Nationalistic feeling does not mean fighting with another country. It is about developing our own country. With this small discussion, I end up my speech. Thank you.